Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, boy. It is an exciting day, a long time in coming, but an exciting day. And first, to Tom Prendergast. I've worked with a lot of people in government on the state level, local level, federal level for many, many years. And I've worked with many heads of the MTA. But Tom Prendergast is extraordinary. And this accomplishment is extraordinary. Let's give him a big round of applause and thank him for what he's done. As Tom said, this was a lot of work. This was dangerous work. It was cold. It was hot. You were underground. It went on for a very, very long time. And it is the 2,000 men and women who built this station and built the tunnel and built the other stations. And let's give them a round of applause for what they've done. To the neighbors who suffered a little inconvenience, I would say, right? That's a fair statement. That's the understatement of a lifetime. It was a mess on 2nd Avenue, and it was a mess for a long, long time. You know, when you think about cut and cover to build the tunnels, what that means is you dig down and you put in the tunnel and you open up the whole road. So the road was opened up, the traffic was backed up, the sidewalks were backed up, the shop owners suffered terribly, really terribly. And they had to really hold on for the years. There was shaking in the homes above and the buildings above from the tunnel boring machine. So the neighbors paid a terrible price. And we kept saying, don't worry, one day it'll be worth it, one day it'll be worth it, one day it'll be worth it. Well, today is the day that it is worth it. And I believe 2nd Avenue and the entire strip and the entire neighborhood is actually going to be the stronger for it. In many ways, this is a remarkable New York story. It started 100 years ago, 1920. When an engineer for the MTA said, I have an idea, we should build the 2nd Avenue subway. And it sounded like a great idea. So the concept of the 2nd Avenue subway started in 1920. They were so confident of the concept that along the way, they took the elevated line that was on 2nd Avenue and the elevated line that was on 3rd Avenue and knocked them down. Why? Because they were going to build the 2nd Avenue subway. They knocked them down in about the 40s. The one thing that happened is they forgot to build the 2nd Avenue subway. So now you have no elevated line on 2nd Avenue, no elevated line on 3rd Avenue, and the only line that the entire east side could go over to was the Lex line. And that's why the Lexington Avenue line, the 456, are so heavily traveled, the most heavily traveled lines in the world, because they get the entire volume from the east side. And over the years, you've had fits and starts that said, well, we're going to get back to the 2nd Avenue subway, we're going to get back to the 2nd Avenue subway, and then one thing happened after another. You got to the 70s, and the city had a fiscal crisis, but there was always a reason. And it was an ambitious undertaking. And I think along the way, our courage to take on ambitious projects waned. And we weren't so eager to take on these massive undertakings anymore. Expensive, high risk, building a 2-mile tunnel under 2nd Avenue to put in a new train station. It's almost as if somewhere along the way we lost our nerve for these big projects. When you think about it, we haven't built big projects, ambitious projects in a long time. Not just this state, this nation. Last time we built a new airport was Denver, like 20 years ago. Last time we built a new bridge was the Verrazano, like 1960. So our appetite for big projects waned. And I think that's part of what slowed the 2nd Avenue subway down. Now, the design is phenomenal. Tom is exactly right. This is not your father's subway station. It learns from all the past design flaws, frankly. This whole mezzanine level, the ceiling, the height, you don't have that sense of claustrophobia. When you go down to the platform, there are no columns. So you don't get the sense that you're in the catacombs, and that you're underground and you have all this weight above you. It has a sense of openness. I think that is actually going to relate to the way people behave in this space. You don't get that same sense of density. You don't get that same sense of chaos and intensity. The design of it is special, and the artwork is special. The aggressive use of public art all throughout the MTA system, all throughout everything we build. Why? Because the dream is, even if a child is never brought to a museum, just living in New York State, that child will be exposed to art that will trigger his or her imagination and creativity just going through their daily experiences. And more you see that, especially in these trains and in these stations. And they are all different, and they are all beautiful, and they are all worth seeing. We're going to officially open up on New Year's Day, which will be on time. As Tom said, we made a big deal out of the deadline. Now, you can say, well, you were late. It started 100 years ago. Even I wasn't around 100 years ago. I want you to know that. But the January 17 deadline was set in 2009. Now, I'm sure the people who picked the deadline in 2009 basically threw a dart at a calendar and it landed at January 2017. And I'm sure the people who set the date in 2009 said, well, let's pick a date where none of us are going to be here, so we're not going to be held accountable, and they came up with January 2017. And January 2017 was a little arbitrary, and a lot of things happened between 2009 and January 2017. Construction was actually slowed because the community didn't want the activity late at night. It was making too much noise, et cetera, which was understandable. But as Tom said, we wanted to stick to the January 2017 deadline. Why? Why is it so important that you meet the deadline? Because we wanted to make a new and different statement as we start this new year. It is a deadline. It was set. Government said it would do it. And it is important in life to do what you say you are going to do. And when I was saying before that we don't have our same appetite for big projects, and we don't dream big, and we don't build big anymore, part of it is you get the sense that we're not sure that we can still do it. And what we wanted to say here, the MTA with 2nd Avenue Subway, is yes, we can do it. Yes, we can do it. This is New York. We say we're going to meet a deadline, and we're going to build a subway, and it's going to be the best subway system you've ever seen. We can do it. Because when New Yorkers come together, there is nothing that we can't do. And that is the New York spirit, and that is the New York drive. What makes New York, New York? Why is this state the best state in the nation? Why is the place that we are now standing and sitting unique on the globe? New Yorkers make it unique. That ambition, that drive, that daring that says we can do what's never been done before. And we fundamentally believe in ourselves, and we believe in our capacity. And we've proven it time and time again. You look at our history. Tallest buildings, longest bridges. We're going to make Manhattan. We're going to take 13 miles, and we're going to make it the most dense commercial place on the globe. There's nothing we can't do. And we would start talking about the 2nd Avenue Subway, and I'd be asking people about the deadline. You know what they would say? We're not going to make the deadline. I'd say, why not? Well, government. It just can't do it anymore. It just can't do it anymore. They're going to blow the deadline. That's what government does. Government is us. Government is us. Government is not some strange foreign being. Government is us. When you say government can't do it, you say we can't do it. Because government is just a vehicle for collective action, right? And when you say, well, government can't build a subway station on time, you're saying we can't build a subway station on time. We can't build a bridge on time. We can't build a building on time. We can't build an airport on time. We can't make this city, this state, a better state. And that's wrong. I don't believe it. And we're going to prove it. And we're going to meet the deadline, as arbitrary as it was. And we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to come together like New Yorkers, black New Yorkers, white New Yorkers, brown New Yorkers, gay New Yorkers, straight New Yorkers. We're all going to come together. And we're going to pitch in, and we're going to run in one direction, and we're going to push, and we're going to push harder than they've ever pushed before. We're going to have the best workforce ever assembled, organized labor, the men and women of organized labor. And we are going to give New York a Christmas gift that says the long talked about 2nd Avenue subway. It's here, it's on time, and it is a beauty. Enjoy and congratulations.
If our esteemed guests could, we're going to take a quick tour of the station with them, and then it'll be an open house for the next 2.5 hours. Please enjoy your time here at the 86th Street Station.